like to introduce Monica Seeley from Mesmo Consulting, one of our longtime members and board members, to bring some concluding remarks. What have we learned? She is going to ask. Actually, I'm asking, and she apparently has the answers. Monica.
Okay, I think I have the toughest slot because I couldn't prepare beforehand. I have to work as we go along. I think what's been fascinating about today is, I don't know how many of you know when email, you can type it in, was actually introduced. It might surprise you to know it's over 45 years ago, before some of you were even born. And I've been in the game a long time, and my question is always, what's changed? And we've seen it growing exponentially. And I think out of today, it's reinforced, there is a way of changing information overload, and particularly email overload. And really, it's a combination of both the technology we use, the culture we generate, and the processes we use. And one of the hard things, of course, is that a lot of organizations, a lot of chief executives will take the ostrich approach. They won't realize it's there, despite the fact for many people, email is one of the top 10 stressors, and we know that stress, mental health is a huge issue for organizations. So let me pick out some of the key things. I think we can all begin. For me, it's about peeling the onion skin. Stuart started, and indeed Mark gave us some really great tips. And if I had to pick one out that I preach to everybody time in and again, it would be to check your email less often, switch off the new mail notifications. Like the others, I've written 2 or 3 books, Brilliant Email, Taking Control of Your Inbox, and that features throughout along with others. It's also the point I pick up from the end. It's with Erica, in some ways pulled it together. Your behavior and your attitude will influence my behavior and my attitude. So if you start small and start somewhere and start changing your behavior, then you can start to expand that out into the team. And I think you talked about that, Erica, with Dan, some of the things you've done there. Now, managing the email and the email overload isn't the only answer. It's also about sending the right message right first time. One side of that coin is Indeed, and both Stuart and Mark touched on it. It's about your email etiquette. It's about, and Seeley communicating clearly. But then it's also looking outside the inbox to other technology. And I loved all the things that Seeley was talking about. And closing that loop again, he again showed how you can start small, you can influence others to do other things, to use other technology. And that's one of the things I don't see enough people doing. So if you've had enough of all of the discussion type emails, Hyam with No Mail showed us some technology that can help us. Seeley talked about collaborative tools. And the other theme I think that was very dominant is what I call the culture, and that was very much, I think, Lawrence's field, and I shall certainly be going away to try and do some digital mindfulness with some of the people I work with. But at the end of the day, I think the other message, if I come back to where I started, when was email invented and where's it going? We cannot do nothing, because if we do, again, we've just heard millennials expect a different culture. So to do nothing is really not an option. If you do nothing, it's going to push the stress levels, continue to push the information overload up, and the mental health. And that will impact further on productivity. So it's about making small changes and growing them into larger changes within the organization. And on that note, at the end of this session, there is a survey, and I think, Jackie, you're going to put the link up at some point in a minute. I would urge you and ask you if you could fill it in. It will give us some valuable data, and it will help us. It's up there now. Look at, what should we be doing next? How can we help you? Where can we be making an impact? I think that sums it up. It's back to you, Jonathan.
Oh my, that was quick. Very good summary. I think that you hit on a very critical point. Doing nothing is akin to just stepping backwards. I really think that's the key takeaway from perhaps everything, and you summed it up in about 6 words. If you want to turn your video off for a moment. The this has been extraordinary. I really want to thank everyone here. Jackie for actually making all the magic happen. This has been terrific. This is my first Zoom meeting experience. It's been an incredible one. Lily for the magic of his talk, especially the professional backgrounds and the lab coat. But of course, the advice, which was priceless, on what people really need to think about when it comes to information overload, all the panelists, and most importantly, our studio audience around the world. I know we have about 30 countries represented here, multiple corporations, large and small, individual practitioners, and clearly a very, very big community of people who are truly overloaded. It personally is very satisfying to me. When I first broached the idea with my colleagues at Basics, the idea of Information Overload Day, I actually think that a few of them didn't take me seriously. I was very serious about it, but I don't think everyone thought that we could do a holiday, which is really commemoration, workplace commemoration of the issue, but it's served so well to draw attention to an issue which is of such great concern and which costs all of us time, money, effort, makes us reinvent the wheel, takes us out of important things to the mundane. Everything that happens, we can blame on information overload. It's, as I said, this is truly gratifying. We at IORG, the Information Overload Research Group, appreciate your support here. If you'd like to learn more about IORG, please visit www.iorgforum.org. We really want to hear from you more. I know that Monica just put out a survey link, and we'd like to involve you more. If you want to do something within your work group or within your organization, please contact us. We have lots of bright people and terrific ideas in terms of sharing information and knowledge. I should conclude, though, that the reason I'm referred to as the former chief analyst at the think tank Basics is because what we found is that after studying the problem of information overload for some 15 years, it was actually possible to become so overloaded from the problem of information overload that we actually had to take a step back. We ended up selling the research assets and moving to something rather different in terms of what we do. Taking our knowledge that we learned all about information overload and starting to work with content in a totally different area. But everything I learned within the 15 plus years I spent studying information overload, and having continued still 5 years past, is applicable to almost every type of encounter one can have in the world. So with that, I'd like to say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, and thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next year. Hopefully you won't be too overloaded. Thank you so much.